I don't know what's going on in Colorado, but Deion Sanders and Coach Prime, they got a problem up there. They got a problem. And that problem is a cultural problem. And I think Deion's starting to feel the pressure. Here's why. When have you ever heard a coach say that losing backups don't matter? Now, look, we can say that Deion's taking a different approach, that Deion's doing things differently. You know, his philosophy or the way that he's trying to build a team and all of this is different than the norm. That's fine, but some things have to be the same. And having quality depth on a football team is always important. Always important. And what he said, who are we losing in the portal? Who's going into the portal? Backups. Okay, then. We'll be fine. No, man. No. No, no, no. Because basically what he is saying is that backups don't matter. Which I'm a Deion supporter. I want him to do well. But that's one of the dumbest things that I think I've ever heard any head coach say in my entire life. Backups don't matter. Really? In what world? In what world? Just say this. Hey, the portal is out there. Some guys are getting it. Some guys aren't. Maybe we weren't the right fit for certain individuals. They decided to leave. God bless them. We wish them well, but we're going to bring in some other guys to fill those spots. What's wrong with just saying that versus saying, well, backups left? It's terrible. It's just it's foolishness, and he's starting to feel the pressure. And he's not going to say that, and there's not going to be a whole lot of people out there that say that, but I'll say it because I'm a defender. I want Prime to do well. It's a terrible look. It's a terrible look. Saying that backups don't matter. Really? So when the first guy gets hurt, then what? Who you bringing in? What are you doing? Stop it, man. Stop it, Deion. My man, we can't. I like Deion, but since last year, it's like a reality show instead of college football. It's starting to become that. I don't mind Deion and them recording everything. I don't mind that. I don't mind the social media presence. I don't mind any of that. I think it's great. You want to be out there like that, then be out there like that. I don't find there anything wrong with that. But on the flip side of that, you got to start doing coaching and building a program. You cannot build a program by going out and saying backups don't matter. And he said that. Darren Howard, it's just not a good look for Prime Minister. We want guys. But when you get them and they leave, we didn't need them. I'm not sending my son there for that. Yes. Thank you. I am not going to send my son there for you to not develop them if they don't come in and immediately can't help you. So you're telling me that my 18 or 19-year-old son, I'm sending him to you. And if from day one, if they can't help you, all of a sudden they're no good to you, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And sooner or later, there's going to be other people and other parents out there that start to say the same thing. I mean, if we're being honest, how many day one people actually help a program? I mean, day one. There's not that many kids out there that are helping you day one. Hell, how many kids, take it back 10 years. If you came in as a freshman class and there were 20 of you, 18 of you got redshirted. Your body wasn't right. Your mental state wasn't right. You got redshirted. Now you can't necessarily do that, although people still get redshirted. Because now, well, I'll just leave. I'll get in the portal and I'll leave. I can go play somewhere. Which that's part of the problem anyway. People thinking that if you don't play from day one, well, I need to go somewhere where I can play. Well, maybe you weren't ready to play. But Deion's problem is if you're not ready to play, he doesn't even want to coach you. But he doesn't even need you. And he's saying that out loud. That's the problem. We can want Prime to succeed all we want. We can want Prime to be successful all we want. But some things in coaching have to be coaching. You know, the statement and what people say now, the popular thing to say is the main thing's got to be the main thing. I get it. The coaching's got to be the coaching, man. Everything can't be for flash. Everything can't be. Look, Macklin left, and he took a jab at him. People are saying, no, he didn't. Yes, he did. I want to go to a big-time program that's not out there looking for clicks that can develop me. It sounded like nobody tried to develop him. Now, part of Macklin's problem, he's got to be accountable himself. Because Deion's saying he didn't show up to meetings. He didn't try to understand. He wasn't working hard. I don't even want to get into the classroom stuff because we don't know if that's true or not. But what I do know is when Deion came out and said the stuff that he said about him during the season, his mother backed Deion up. His high school coach came out and said he's an outstanding talent, but he always wants to do things his way. You can't do that. Not at the next level. You can't just do things your way, especially if you don't understand the defense. You don't understand what's going on. You're showing up late to meetings. You haven't heard Deion say that about anybody else. He said that about him because it was the truth. I don't necessarily agree with that because what I would have done to Macklin, I would have run his ass into the ground until he understood. And maybe they tried that, but I wouldn't have went the route of the media. You don't need to do that. I would have just run his ass into the ground. And if he left, then he left. That means you're right. You didn't need him because he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. You're trying to discipline him into doing the right things. And his response to that is to leave, then you're right. You didn't need him. But when somebody rebels, the answer at coaching isn't to humiliate them publicly. It's to humiliate them privately. And that's when you dig in even harder. That's the difference. Deion hasn't figured that out yet. You can't humiliate kids publicly like that. Kids aren't built like that anymore. Or I don't know if they ever were. But they're definitely not built like that now. If you want him to respond to you, grind him. That's how you get him to respond. Grind him. And if he doesn't respond, then he doesn't respond. You know? But and obviously there's certain circumstances. But if he's not doing what he's supposed to do, yes, the grind has to be there. Now, if he's just not capable of it, that's something different. That's totally different. Totally different. But if he's just not responding and he's not doing what you want him to do, you grind on him. And then if he leaves, then you're right. We don't need him. I don't know that you have to say that publicly. But, hey, it just didn't work out, what we were doing, which Deion actually did say. This just wasn't the place to be able to get the best out of him. Perfect. Move on. But stop all the, hey, people are allowed to ask you questions, Deion. They're allowed to ask those. Why do people keep jumping into the transfer portal? Your response can't be, well, who is it? Who are we losing? No. The pressure's getting to Deion. I don't care what nobody says. And if somebody said that to him, he's going to lie to us. I'm not under any pressure. You're lying. Every head coach is under pressure to win. This is a huge year for Deion. They go out there and win 4 games this year, it will be a huge failure. A huge failure. I'm not saying that they will fire him because the amount of money that he's bringing in and the amount of eyeballs that he's bringing to the program as an athletic director, if you fired that, they should fire you. You know, part of the program is about winning. The other part is about fundraising and money. Deion's doing that. That part he's doing. The head over. I mean, he is bringing not only the university, the athletic department, the whole city of Boulder is thriving because of what he's doing there. But at some point, the style's got to be met with some substance. And that substance has to be winning. It has to be winning. So no more winning 4 games. I think they got to win at least 7 games this year. Are they going to do it? I don't know. But what I do know is it's time to start winning. And the pressure is starting to get to Deion. He's going to lie if somebody ever asked him that and say that it's not, but it is. The pressure is starting to get to him. They've got to start winning. And maybe they will. And don't come to us after you win one football game and say, do you believe? Do you believe now? We don't want to hear that. Win 8 games, and then you can ask us that. Go win 8 games. Then you can ask, do you believe? But don't tell me after you beat North Dakota State or after you beat Nebraska or Colorado State. Don't come to us and say, do you believe? We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that. Okay? Because the answer is no, we don't. I can tell you that right now. No, we don't believe yet. Do something a little bit with more substance so we can believe. That's all I know. And stop saying that backups don't matter. Stop saying that. That's a good point, David Gonzalez. If all their backups were gone, they better win their first 7 games. Injuries will kill them. Yeah. I mean, football is a game of injuries. It's a game of attrition. It always has been. It always will be. Always. Guys are going to get hurt. I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million more. Football is unfortunately a game where bones break and ligaments tear. That's just the way that it is. And if you don't have enough guys to be enough quality guys, then your team won't be as good. We see it every year. We see it in professional football. We see it in college football. Backups matter. They absolutely matter. Terrible look from Deion. Terrible. Pressure's starting to get to him. The pressure is starting to get to him, people. We don't want to say that. We don't want to have to admit that about Coach Prime. But unfortunately, it's the truth. It is the flat-out truth. The pressure is starting to mount, and he's starting to say things that people are like, huh? Even people like me, a big-time supporter, are like, huh? You said what? And then the fuel for the people that don't like him, the Jason Whitlocks of the world, the Coach JBs of the world. I mean, this is just giving them fuel. I mean, and you're proving them right. You're proving them right. So if you don't want to do that, take a word of advice from your man, Big B. Take a step back and just coach your football team. That's all you got to do, man. That's all you got to do. Just take a step back and coach your football team. Nobody's going to care if you go out there and win games. Nobody's going to care. All they care about is to see the program getting better. But don't go out there and win 4 games and then come up with a bunch of excuses. We don't want to hear that. Don't throw your offensive line under the bus like you did midway through the season last year when we could all see that they sucked. We knew they were terrible. You didn't have to come out and say that, though. That's not what head coaching is. And don't tell me that's holding them accountable. You can hold your team accountable in practice. You can hold your team accountable during the game. You don't have to try to hold them accountable and publicly humiliate them. That's not holding them accountable. By telling them they're not any good and we're going to go get other guys in the portal. We already know that. We can see that. You don't have to come out and say that. That is not good coaching. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not. That's somebody that's not experienced as a coach that's just spouting off at the mouth. Be better, Dion. Be better. Yeah, and I think you're capable of being better. You're capable of being better. We're going to have to see it this year. We are going to have to see it this year. 7 games is the minimum. 7 wins. That is the minimum. Anything less, don't tell me, well, they got to 6 wins and there's no. 7 wins. Then we can say, you know what? It's moving in the right direction. It's moving in the right direction. Anything less than that, in my opinion, is failure. Anything less than that.